everyone, and welcome back to my channel, where everything you're about to hear and see has been done in one take. I am your host, the One Take Man. Today, just like I promised last week, I will discuss how I would fit the X-Men in the MCU. However, unlike what I initially thought I would do, instead of taking one plot and explaining it in detail over the course of this video, I've instead come up with 4 plots, which I all have listed here, just to my left, and I'll present each of them. I chose 4 because, well, I don't exactly know when it would make most sense to introduce the X-Men into the MCU, and at what stage of development the actual team itself would be. So I've come up with a few to cover all my bases. And if some MCU creative director is looking at this, you are very much free to steal my ideas, as long as you credit me. As long as you credit me, we're fine. You can do whatever I say here, but just credit me. Okay, got that? Great. Let's get into the plots. Plot number 1 is the so-called Xavier Plot, where we will follow Xavier gathering the first generation of students. We will see them either as their powers first manifest, or as they come to terms and come to grips and understand how to use their powers. Then Xavier comes by, picks them up, brings them to his school, teaches them how to enhance their control over their powers, and then sends them out to tackle their first villain threat. They lose the first fight, get back to the X-Mansion, patch themselves up, and then they find out that the actual villain came to the Xavier States in order to finish them off. And this second fight they would win. Then they realize, okay, this is a big deal, and we kind of have to. We don't have to do that, but if we don't do it, then no one else will. This is something that needs to be done, and we will sign up to do it. So who should this first crop be? Well, I want them to be the first X-Men team, but with some substitutions. From the first team, we will have Cyclops, Jean Grey, and Angel, who have shown up in a lot of X-Men movies so far, but I don't think they've ever really been done right. So this is I think they still have some potential that the movies haven't tapped into, and this is what I want to explore. Iceman and Beast have been done well enough in previous movies, so I'm leaving them out as for now. Who do I put instead? Well, substitution number one would be for Armor, who is a newer character who can project a suit of armor around herself. That would bring in some more and bring in fans of newer comics as well. And I also want to add Northstar and Aurora. They are twins who have similar abilities, so I think getting them out of the way would be economic. Also, once they graduate, they can then go off and start off a fight, which is what they are known for. Who should the villain be? Well, the obvious idea would be Magneto, but given Magneto has been done not just well but great, and not once but twice, I think we can leave him on the back burner for now. For this smaller, more intimate story, I think a better villain would be the Juggernaut. He already was featured in X3, and while his appearance there was memeable, it wasn't exactly interesting. It didn't exactly delve into the relationship he and Xavier have in the comics. And it is this relationship that I really want to delve into a bit more, at least in this movie. This movie would also have 2 post-credit scenes. One where we see Magneto reading or listening to some news about the attack, and about how Xavier's students overcame the Juggernaut, and he'll be something like, "I see, Charles. So you have started to recruit your army. Very well then. I will recruit my own." And that's it. That's really all you need to do. And the second post-credit scene would be, with the jump forward a bit in time, maybe a year, maybe several. Once this current crop will have graduated Xavier's schooling, and we see a new batch of trainees coming into the school, namely the giant-sized X-Men. Those are Wolverine, Colossus, Storm, Nightcrawler, and Banshee. Yes, I know 7 mutants were introduced in Giant-sized X-Men #1, and I only mentioned 5. I have other plans for the other 2. We'll get to them eventually. For now, this is plot #1. Plot #2 is what I'd like to call the outsider plot, where we have a new face who would join either the X-Men team itself or join the school as a student, because after all, the X-Mansion is the host of the Xavier School for Gifted Youngsters. So we should see it also function as a school. And within this movie, we would establish some rivalries, some friendships. The new character would also discover that there is a greater threat out there, and decide to jump into the already established team in order to provide support in dealing with this threat. Who would the new face be? Well, I have several suggestions I wrote down here. It could be Kitty Pryde, it could be Polaris, it could be Dazzler, it could be Havoc, or if you're feeling really spicy, it could be Pyro. Who would the villains be? Well, I already mentioned Magneto in the last plotline, so we could do the Brotherhood of Mutants here. It would consist of Magneto, Quicksilver, Scarlet Witch, the Blob, and Avalanche. I don't think we've seen Avalanche in live action, and I really want to see him in live action. I'm sorry to all the Toad fans. You already had your moment. So, yeah. Alternatively, if you don't want the Brotherhood of Mutants, you could do the Hellfire Club. They already were the villains in X-Men First Class, but really that was not the full Hellfire Club. It was just Sebastian Shaw and 2 henchmen. Hellfire Club, the actual Hellfire Club is quite a bit bigger and has a lot more untapped story potential, which I think a movie like this could more accurately explore. Maybe something about X-Men Undercover disappearing when they try to investigate the club, something like that. That's something to consider. Plot number 3 is actually something I discussed in my last video, where I discussed the X-Men movies, and namely it would be focus on a group of young mutants who come together in the face of a larger existential threat. They're literally fighting for their lives over this existential threat that they decide to stop over the course of the movie, while the X-Men are trying to use more diplomatic means to contain the bad influence that this threat gives out. So yeah, this is for a more established X-Men team, and it also plays a lot more into the found family aspects of this franchise that made the Bryan Singer movies as meaningful and relevant as they were. Who would these young mutants be? Well, I have the following roster suggestion: Rogue, Gambit, Psylocke, Forge, Thunderbird, and Longshot. Who would their villains be? Well, we could either do the God Loves, Man Kills storyline and bring Reverend William Stryker into the fold, or we could could bring up or the main villain could instead be Graydon Creed, the founder of the Friends of Humanity, who are an anti-mutant hate group in the comics. If the name Graydon Creed sounds familiar, that's because this Graydon Creed, who founded the Friends of Humanity, is the son of Graydon Creed Sr., obviously, also known as Sabretooth. Given we already established that, given plot number 1, we had already established that Wolverine also exists in this world. You have some building blocks for a spin-off movie that more accurately represents the more feral aspects of their dynamics, much more so than X-Men Origins Wolverine managed to. Alternatively, we could go a bit into toxic found families and have the existential threat be not external but internal. Who would the villain be in that case? Well, it's pretty obvious given I mentioned Rogue. It should be Mystique, and we could do the plotline where Rogue actually manages to steal Captain Marvel's powers. Once Rogue finds out about the ramifications, she leaves her found family. Maybe manages to convince some of her, or rather, she leaves Mystique. Maybe convinces some of the others to also join her. But anyway, the others will still leave her, and Mystique is left on her own. Part of the family will join the X-Men, and the others will just, I don't know, scoot about and do their own thing. That would be plot number 3. Plot number 4 is a direct rip-off of Sky High, so I'll just name it the Sky High plot. Namely, it'll focus on 2 groups of students at the Xavier School for Gifted Youngsters. One of these groups would be, that definitely has to be new, and it definitely has to be, the good guys. And the bad guys would be a group of maybe new, but ideally older students who have infiltrated the school in order to facilitate a takeover by some enemy faction. And for some reason, the adults are too busy to notice or effectively combat this threat, which means it's up to the new kids to be able to stop them. Who would these new kids be? Well, I'm thinking Sunfire, Jubilee, Magic, aka Colossus's much younger half-sister, and Rachel Summers, who would be the child of Jean Grey and Cyclops. Because I kind of want to establish a lineage, something of a lineage within X-Men, because the X-Men is very much known for being a soap opera in comics, for one, and for another, because it actually makes sense that a smaller, more close-knit community, like the mutants in general and the X-Men in particular, would establish something of a lineage. We've seen that play out throughout history time and time again. So why not? Alternatively, you could also have any of the characters I mentioned in previous plots, or even new characters from wherever. So go wild here. Who should the villains be? Well, you could bring the Hellfire Club into this potential scenario again, because why not? Alternatively, you could have Mr. Sinister and his Marauders be the actual infiltrators. And I think you can pretty easily guess what their agenda is. And yeah, that was it. Those are my 4 pitches for how the X-Men can be brought into the MCU. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a like. If you have anything you'd like to add, the comment section is wide open. Next time, because I've kind of caught the MCU bug and I want to see how far I can go with it, I will discuss how the Fantastic Four can be brought into the MCU. If you're in any way curious about how that video will go, then go ahead and subscribe. Maybe also ring the bell or do whatever else YouTube will require of its users in the future. Until next time, I have been the One Take Man.